I don't like the bar takeover mics. Those like fucking like people are at a bar and then they just set up a mic there, like Henry's. Like those are the ones that I don't.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like those people didn't come here for open mic. They came here
that
to
shit
drink.
It's so discouraging to me.
Well, they are necessary. Honestly, I've had some of my best writing. What I do at those mics, if I ever go to them, is I don't go in with anything I've prepared. Mm-hmm. I just go in with either something brand new that I just wrote, or I go in with something that I'll just come up with an idea. Like my closer came from a Davis mic at a pizza place.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's crazy.
We were brought inside because it was raining outside. There was like a shitty little family there. And
family is crazy.
And they had a little kid, and I was the first one to go up. So I'm like, I'm gonna do as much sexually explicit stuff as I can to like upset this family, so they'll leave because they're making this uncomfortable.
yeah, for everyone.
So I was like, So my closer is called My Favorite Porno, which is about an old porn tape that I had as a kid. Yeah. And I came up with that literally on the spot at that mic where I was just like, I'm going to talk about porn. And so I started doing a bunch of porn bits, and that one just kind of came out of my mouth, and I was like, oh, that keeps. Because the dad, like, at one point does the whole earmuffs on his son, eats his pizza, and then they eventually leave. I was like, thank God.
That's when you know you got some.
It's like, get out of here.
So, like, what do you think is the difference between, like, that's you, sorry. Like...
So I'm trying to get
that's dividing the room, right? Versus just spurting like crazy shit.
Oh yeah, that was us being made like.
It's deliberate.
Yeah, that was deliberate. I also don't think it's okay to be. I think the big thing is everyone's like, oh, you know, people are too soft or people are too. Woke and stuff. I don't think that's true. I think there's literally any subject in the world you can joke about or make fun of. It just has to be funny. That is the only rule, I think. Is like if somebody were to use the R word and were to talk about that kind of stuff that makes people uncomfortable, as long as you're making somebody laugh, you're not just being offensive. Yeah, okay. But it's when it borders on I'm just saying the offensive thing because it's offensive, then it's no longer a joke. Yeah. Like, I think there's a lot of people who do it really well. Like Robert Barry, I think, does it better than anybody, where he does jokes where it's so dark that you're like, oh, that should offend me.
It's almost clean in a way. Like yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I love when he talks. I listen to him.
Oh yeah, he is a fountain of knowledge, and he's one of those people who's just like the sweetest guys to talk to. He's always willing to like give advice to anybody too.
Yeah.
And he's fly.
He always comes.
I feel like that's the great thing about comedy too. Like comedians are like so much more friendly than I thought before I was doing comedy. Like I thought people would be like, I don't know, not standoffish, but everyone is so chill and nice. Like majority of the time.
It is a different world. When I was like 18, because I've only been doing this full time for 5 years. Before that, I did improv and theater, and then before that, I did music. But when I was first 18, all I wanted to do was comedy. So I came out to comedy when I was 18. Mm-hmm. I was 18 years ago now at this point. And it was a fucking Shark Tank. Like, everyone was rude to me.
Right.
What? I went up to my very first mic. The next comic after me roasted me his 5 minutes. Like, never met this person in my life.
And you just shit
talked about how stupid my pants were, how stupid my sweatshirt was. Like, I've never met this person in my life. And
when you're 18, that feels like...
Oh, man. I was like, am I getting... Like, I'm a big kid. I've never been bullied in my life. Am I getting bullied by a bunch of comic nerds? And, like... People like
it's not like comics dress well or anything either.
Like Mikey Winfield, who's big now. He was like maybe one of 5 or 6 comics who was like decent to me back then. Mm-hmm. Other than that, everyone was just so bitey and shitty to each other. That's why I don't see a lot of them around. And the ones who are the ones who were kind of chill. Like, and that kind of trickled down to this newer generation where there is every so often a creep or a weirdo who sneaks through. But for the most part, we have like a great group of people to do comedy with.
Yeah. So you feel like the toxic people like just naturally kind of get weeded out, huh? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
because I feel like in comedy you have to be, I don't know, accepting, and because I feel like collaboration makes everything 1,000 times better in comedy.
And there will be people who don't like. A lot of people don't like the roast battles and stuff because it's mean or whatever.
Dude, I love it.
I went into it the very first time and I thought it was that. I thought it was like, oh, you got to be mean to the next person. So like my first battle was against one of my like really dear friends, and I was like, oh, let's not roast each other because we're best friends. Like, let's not do that. Let's instead boast each other. That'll be funny.
Yeah, like reverse.
We were booed off stage. We were like booed. The judges ripped us apart. Josh didn't book me on a roast for a very long time after that.
That's
but
crazy.
I won.
Yeah.
And then my second one, I messed up even further because, like, at that point, I was feeling myself. I was like, I'm a good writer. I'm getting booked everywhere. I was up against dear David Thorne, who we were talking about, and he came in, and his jokes weren't even that like biting or great. Yeah. But I came that night and got so cocky that I walked across the street to the liquor store, bought myself a fucking bottle of I think it was Fireball, embarrassing enough.
Dude, and David's a killer too. He's good.
Up off whiskey. Then I go on stage, and I think the only words that I muttered were like, "You guys know that like David fucks his cousin." That's like the best I got out. And then the rest of it was just me stuttering and slurring, and they ripped me apart. And after that, I was like, you know what? I gotta like ask people who I think are good at roasts how they do it. Like, I've got to start talking to people. And that's when I started collabing with like Artie and writing with a bunch of people where it's like
it's pretty close.
I wish to write with all of my opponents, or at least wish to like exchange good information to make a good roast.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like if you guys both do good, it makes the whole thing better for the entire crowd and everything.
Absolutely, yeah.
Dude, and it's like,
Subjective.
yeah, dude. Now I've done my first one. I'm like so excited to try to do another one, and like my nerves are going crazy. But now I see like, oh, dude, it's nothing to be really. It's chill, dude.
Especially if you've got like an opponent up there who, not even, you don't even have to like them or anything like that. It's just that isn't trying to step on you. Like, the idea of the roast should be that it was a funny roast, rather than who wins or loses, because. There's been a couple of times where I'm like, I can't lose to this guy, and I go out there and my performance is so stunted because I'm like focused on like, I wrote these jokes, these are the ones that are gonna win, instead of like playing off and having fun. For Subas, I wrote those jokes like the second Josh asked me to accept it. I wrote those jokes, never looked at them again until like right before the battle. And then,
so is that your usual process too?
No.
Okay.
For Subas, it's
like
you got to do different shit for Subas.
I mean to cut you off. Like, you were saying it was like that was like one of the only roast battles you did not want to take, but you were like, fuck it.
I kept telling myself there's that Subas is one of them, and there's another battle that I'm just like, it doesn't do anything for me or roast battle to take this battle. But with Subas, I was like, at the sesh, which is his home field, the crowd's gonna love him. I was like, I want to see if I can at least play this game, and I think there was no chance I was walking away with the victory. Mainly because one, I gave him his biggest laugh by making him repeat the word fentanyl until he actually said fentanyl, because he was like,
hilarious.
For lentils, and I'm like, what?
Literally, I was like, what?
And by the third time he said fentanyl, like 2 or 3 people in the crowd stood up. I was like, fuck, okay, that was a bad move.
But like the way he said it too, he's like, your head, you had your palms in your head, was like, say it the third time because everybody will get it. Yeah, it literally happened. Everybody was like, oh, fentanyl. It was crazy.
I was like,
it was crazy.
But
see, Loki had to give him the oop, or else it would have just been terrible for both of you guys.
Yeah. He just couldn't get the word out. But Mike Nordstrom explained it the best, and I think that is Subas's style to a T, which is you may come in with like flashy offense, get a bunch of touchdowns, but he is going to control the ball the whole time.
Dude,
He sets the pace.
As soon as Mike said that to me, I was like, that's exactly what it is.
That is facts.
That's exactly what it is. Because I was hitting him every single time. Every joke was just good enough to get enough laughs. And then he would just drag on with this 5 minute. Like, our battle took... I counted it because I was watching my clock. It took 11 minutes.
Holy shit!
From when we started to when it ended.
Bro, at times, Buddy was like this.
That is
Because he was just going on. He's like, "You're fat. You're ugly."
Yeah, literally, I thought it was funny.
At one point, he's like, "You're bipolar, bisexual,
Yeah.
binocular." I'm like, "What?"
Binocular.
And the whole time he kept calling him nobody.
No, yes, that killed me because I kept laughing at that. I was like, "Damn it, stop laughing at that!" Because he does that.
He like feeds off it.
He called Drew something too, but he
He's
like
so
just
funny.
added my name. Yeah, Drewcula.
That shit was
And
hilarious.
just the crowd, he was supposed to, in his notes, he's supposed to say it once, but the crowd laughed so hard at it that he's just like, I'm going to continue to call
Yeah,
you
ride the wave.
I was like, damn it. The battle before that, though, the Patrick battle,
Yeah.
that was one that I've wanted for a while.
He's
'cause
good, too.
Yeah, he's
He's-
so good.
He's really good, and he got the same thing I tell everybody, which is go as hard as you want. Nothing's off limits. You know, on my list, it's like my mom died of cancer. Go after that. I don't give a shit. Like, I want just like your best battle, period. And Patrick, afterwards, he was like, people say I say too many mean things. I'm like, dude, you called me a melting Barbie. That was, you know, you could have gone harder. And it took me so long to like want to post that battle too. I finally posted it, but it took me so long to want to post it because even trying to make him look good doesn't. I was like,
How do you know where to draw the line? Like, because I tried to be mean, and then people were like, "You weren't mean enough." So I'm like,
it's about what I said earlier about if it's funny, it flies. So like when my mom. It hadn't been too long after she had passed. I had battled Thelonious, and she brought it up.
she's hilarious too.
And she said it in a way that, like, at first the crowd was like, "Oh no, she's bringing up dead moms. This is not cool." And then she finished the joke, and everyone was laughing, including me. I was like, "Okay, that's what I needed. Like, that's what I want with that." So I don't think there is like a too mean type thing.
Yeah.
Like. Logan
If it's written well, it's written well. It's a good joke. I get what you're saying.
Logan Farr is very. Do you need to?
We got the other one. We can roll for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just roll that.
Logan Farr is got a style where typically his style is he'll pick one thing and he'll take 4 dagger shots at that one in increasing levels of inappropriate to like push the button.
Yeah.
So. Like, if you're transgender, he's gonna do 4 transgender.
To get that, like...
Yeah, if you're gay, he's gonna go after that. It's not about, like, oh, I'm gonna be, like, homophobic. It's a matter of, that's a button to press, and I'm gonna keep pressing that and see how far I can take you, like...
Yeah, because the moment you get out of character, he won.
The moment
much.
you're like, okay, you've done 2 gay jokes, can we move on? He's like, no, here's another gay joke.
Yeah, perfect. Just to keep
And it's like, okay.
in the chamber.
Yeah, and then me and him battled in L.A., and I kept calling him out our whole trip down there. I was like, oh, you're just going to do like 4 fat jokes? What is it, 4 bisexual jokes? What's your gimmick this time? And the first time ever, he went up and he did like 4 completely different jokes, but it was like sticking to like 1 fat joke, 1 gay joke. Like it was just one thing after. I was like, damn, that was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And they love him in LA, mainly because they introduce him as a veteran who lost his legs, not a veteran who got drunk on his 21st birthday and fell in front of a train and lost his legs.
That don't got the same ring to it, I guess.
It's not the same. So like they bring him up and everyone cheers him like he's some war hero who lost his legs.
like they're thinking he like did some like crazy battle or something,
like-
you know? It's like he just got super blacked
Yeah.
out one day.
Every time, like, every
That's
time I've gone
hilarious.
up with him, he comes up to LA and they just cheer him on like some war hero. And I'm like, he didn't even get a full year in into the military.
Dude, but it's fire that you were like calling him out, and he was like, "Bet I'm gonna. You're tired of the fastball, I'll switch it to a knuckleball or something."
I went straight after the fact that I was like, just so you guys know, he did not lose those legs in the military.
You need to know the truth.
He's a killer, and he's one of the meanest roasters, and I think he never goes too far.
Yeah, dude, he's great, dude. He was one of the only people I saw on YouTube and shit first, and then I met him, and I was like, oh wait, that's the same dude. He's
everywhere now, and I'm happy about it. Like ever since he moved into his van, he's free to go anywhere.
Yeah, dude, and it's like
he's been to Chicago. He's been to Texas a bunch. He did Denver, I think.
Dude, would you say traveling is essential as a comedian?
If you want to get to the next level type of thing.
Like making a job or, just...
I think it all depends. I think if your goal is to become a famous Sacramento comedian, then I don't think it matters if you do shows in LA. Now, being a famous Sacramento comedian will be easier to get shows at different places. Mm-hmm. But if that is your goal, like if you're like, I just want to headline... Laughs Unlimited for the next 10, 15 years or whatever, or however long you want to do it, then that's perfectly fine. You don't need to travel. But if your goal is to become a traveling comedian, there's the route of getting your face out there with sending videos out everywhere, sending your profile,
because I think it'd be
electronic press kit. Eventually, you guys should work on one of those.
He said a press kit, so it's like
electronic press kit. It's like your headshot, your profile, and then maybe some clips and stuff of you. That way you send that out to bookers. When bookers are like putting out there, send me your videos online, it looks a lot more professional if you're sending an electronic kit that's like, here's my headshots. Here's 7 different options for your poster. Here's my bio if you want to put it in any kind of like advertising. And then here is some videos of me doing it. Okay. Eventually, that's what you want to build. I have 2 of them personally. One's just strictly roast stuff. One's more of my joke stuff.
Okay. And I'm assuming that just depends on what you're trying to get booked for. And
getting those sent around will help miles and miles.
For sure.
But like getting your name in front of, like going down to LA and doing open mics at big clubs, Comedy Store, the Potluck. There's a chance you might not get up. But do it while you plan an LA trip around it.
But if you don't get up, then it's like, oh man, you went to LA.
You went to LA, but you went to LA to go to Disneyland, and you just happened to Tuesday night go to the Potluck, or Monday night go to the Potluck, or whatever. Yeah. Like, plan a trip around it if you're not booked. If you're going down there for open mics. LA, you have to pay for a lot of mics. So it's it's pay to play, but you can get in front of some people.
So would you say that like is worth it though, that paying to get just seen?
It's like an investment almost,
if you're paying to do a mic at like a laundromat, you're getting
you're
getting pumped. But if you're like Comedy Store, they don't make you pay. A lot of the bigger places won't make you pay. No. But I'm talking about like nightclubs and stuff, or like their version of bar mics are more professionally done, and that's what I would like to see come over here, where it's like the club is like the pub is promoting it, and the pub is selling tickets to that night, where the pub has a second room where you can go sell your tickets and do your show, and then the people at the bar are not bothered. That's the kind of, but like getting your name out there through your electronic press kits, getting your name out there through going down and doing open mics, that's one thing. I've taken it the other route of using using the roast battles. Shout out to Josh. Of just
shout out to Josh.
Of using those roast battles, and I've gotten roasts in LA multiple times. I've done the Comedy Store, which to me when I was a kid,
that's like the spot.
I lost my mind the first time Artie texted me and he's like, oh yeah, we're in. It's me and you roasting each other at the Comedy Store. And I was like, wait a second. Why are you just sending me this? Like, it's to me that is, I may be in the G League, but I made it to the the NBA. I'm in.
Exactly.
So the first time that happened, that was amazing. This time now, I'm going back next month in May, at the end of May, to see Subas battle Los Digits. But
wait, he's gonna battle Those Digits? The fucking
LA's Subas.
LA Subas. Yeah, that's a perfect.
You can't understand him, but for some reason he has this following of people who love him. And
exactly, they might cancel each other out. Who knows? Like,
I think they need to
cancel each other out. Like they're both.
They have to put it in the main event, and they have to give it room to breathe because it's gonna be at least 20 minutes long.
Yeah, for sure. They're gonna need an intermission. The first battle with an intermission in like the middle.
That's great.
But me and Artie are going down there, and that's both of our first time actually performing at comedy straight up at the Comedy Store before the roast battle. So I'm actually now not just doing a roast battle there. I'm doing a set there. Yeah. And awesome. Later this year, I'm going to do. Thank you. And later this year, I get to do the Mothership in.
Bro, awesome, dude! Congrats, man.
I'm gonna put a clap. That's fucking dope, bro.
And that all came from you producing your own shows first, right?
Well, it all came from roast battles, but it came from.
Shout out, Josh.
Shout out to Josh Means. It really came from.
I know you got me juiced to do the roast battles. Now I'm like, Josh, I'm calling you after this.
Well, I think what it is a lot of people will come to Josh and be like, I'll battle anytime, I'll roast all the time, and a lot of people don't show up. I think, even though me and Josh aren't boys. Josh is a great comic. He's a friend of mine. He's funny as hell, but it's not like we hang out all the time.
Yeah, I get you.
But I think the reason he feels comfortable booking me on as many roast battles as he does is because I don't say no. I didn't say no to Subas. And it doesn't matter if it's day of. If I'm free,
I'm gonna do that.
I'll go battle somebody. Yeah. I've multiple times. The other week I was just driving him and Artie down to Rooster Tea Feathers, and Judge dropped out. I was like, I'll judge. I don't give a shit. Yeah. We got there as the show was starting. The host brings me up as I come, I'm walking in the door. I still have my purse on me. Can't even get to the bathroom. They're like, buddy's up. And I'm like, okay. Do my set. Judge. It was one of the best. And multiple times I've just wanted to go out to Cobb's because that's one of my favorite clubs to be at. And somebody will drop out of a roast, or somebody, he'll be one roast down, and I'll be like, I'll roast anybody. I don't care.
Just fucking throw me in there.
Throw me in the game,
It's like UFC equivalent. If Dana White asks you to fight, take the fight. Short notice,
dude, that's so.
It's just respect,
exactly that. Yeah.
I was literally telling my girl that I was like
professionalism,
I was like, this is a whole league and shit. There's number one contenders. There's champions and shit. I'm trying to become a prospect and shit. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, this is roast battle shit.
Honestly, I don't know if all of the people who have gotten bigger from this roast battle even understand how big roasts have pushed them. There's multiple people who are hosting for great comics in the Bay right now.
Yeah.
Who started out not getting booked except for on the roast battles every single time and kicking ass. There's people who are touring
That's
right now.
That's my life right now.
There's people who are out there touring right now, I know, who are started out roast battling and just really nailing that, and then being able to be okay, this is what I can do, and moving on from that. And that's kind of what I want to do, but I just love roast battles so much.
Dude, they're so fun. I literally cannot wait now. I was super scared. I was literally on the verge of puking, pissing my pants. And then I do it and I'm like, this is so fucking fun. Why was I ever scared?
Your first battle, though, that was interesting because it was at Punchline.
Yeah.
In the main room.
Yeah. That was my first time ever in there.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
That was awesome. And when I saw the lineup, I was like, Oh man, a newbie versus Brian. Brian's kind of new himself.
Respects Brian though. He's
Brian,
good,
I
dude.
respect. He is my favorite mailman.
Yeah, the best mailman.
Shout out. But like as soon
Two-day
as he
shipping.
showed
Roasted
up,
himself, legendary.
oh,
Didn't
Yeah.
cut you off, but that was legendary.
1-on-1 against himself.
Legendary, bro.
I remember that was one of the ones that I didn't accept because I was out of town.
Yeah.
But I just remember hearing that he was going to do that, and I was like, if somebody's going to do it, Brian's the one who should do it.
Yeah.
I think Brian's the one who can do it.
That's
so
legendary, bro.
yeah. So I was like, that's a perfect opponent for you. But I was like, this is a room that is so hard to like jump into the deep end.
Yeah.
But Josh does that because he knows that there's
Sink or swim type
there's
shit.
a safety net. If you guys shit the bed,
He's there.
that
The
is
judges.
so okay because the judges are right there.
True.
To tell you that you shit the bed and to tell the audience that you
Yeah.
shit the bed.
And then that'll
and to
kill all the
alleviate
tension.
you shitting the bed.
Yeah.
Like
That's what happened to mine.
Dude, that's crazy.
yours was not bad. It just got to that was a thing that I was watching from the doorway and I was like, why is he doing this? Your opponent decided to get very chippy, which is definitely a tactic. I do it sometimes. Like,
But it
I
got
tried
more
to-
serious almost.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I thought it
like
was
trying to
funny.
act tough, like trying to punk your opponent. Like I kind of did that to Patrick because he could in real life murder me.
yeah. So it's funny to do.
Yeah.
So I was
It's
like,
like the
this
Los Digits
joke
special.
of the chubby queer kid bullying the actual tough guy.
Yeah.
That's the joke. Whereas
Yeah,
your
that's
opponent, on the other hand, was like,
Playing
I'm
it
going to
straight.
try to say something racist. Then I'm going to try to say something tough. And then I'm going to try to say that you ain't funny, even though you just got to laugh. And it's like, it lands so flat when there's no, like, you weren't acting scared with
Yeah.
it. Like, it wasn't like something you guys planned out where you were like, he was like, I'm going to punk you out.
Yeah,
and you were
you
like,
see
okay, I'll
him.
act like a bitch or something like
Yeah.
that. No, you
That would
were
be
just
hilarious, though.
you were just kind of confused because it was like a different
I was
person than the
very
person
confused.
who approached you. Because he
Yeah.
came up to you and he's like, "Do you
You
like?"
smoked a blunt.
Yeah.
Like,
He asked you
Yeah.
if you liked dogs or something, or if you liked
shoes.
shoes. And then I was thinking, and no matter what you said, he was like, "Oh, I already had a joke written."
Yeah.
In my head, I'm like, "Okay, he's gonna make a joke about like shoes," but he like turned the joke about shoes into you being
Mexican.
and it's
Yeah.
like, wait a second, the shoes had nothing to do. Like,
that was the Trojan horse of the actual joke. He was like, I'm gonna get him with the shoes, but really he's a beaner, right, guy? Dude, but I feel like that's what roasts always come down to. It's like the simple, like the most clever way to be like, you're gay, you're fat, you're stupid, you know? Like,
I've gotten into that too, where it's like, I've battled Artie a few times, but a couple of times I've just done like Filipino jokes.
yeah.
Like but now I've gotten to a point where I feel like I'm such a good writer that I will purposely take something off the board for myself. Like with Subas, I didn't because he's ridiculous. But with like, I roasted Dakota earlier this year. Dakota Fry, shout out Dakota.
Another great comic.
Hilarious
Oh my God.
roaster. But I was roasting him, and I specifically wanted to not bring up the fact that he's Jewish. I was like,
Because
that's
you know
the
that's-
big. He's literally wearing a yarmulke.
Yeah.
I was like, but if I never bring it up,
That's like me in my hand, yeah.
I was like, I take away something from him to rebuttal because he's Jewish. He knows he's Jewish, so his
so
rebuttal.
much rebuttals
Exactly.
about that, yeah.
He's like, he knows what he's going to come back with, and he did 4. So like, usually at the roast it's 4 jokes, but if you do it right, your rebuttal plus a joke,
It's
you
really-
can fit in 8 jokes. So his
100%.
rebuttals were all "I'm lizard" jokes because one time at
Dude, that shit was hilarious.
Wait,
Shout
don't
out to
spoil it.
Parker Newman.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait,
Parker
hold on.
Newman,
I need the
'cause
story.
at,
Shout out Parker.
Punchline.
I love Parker too, he's
Callback.
hilarious.
Yeah. At Callback, I battled Parker, and Parker specifically sat on one side of the stage so that I would have to be under the light. And it just happened to be a night where I was extra shiny, maybe a little too sweaty because I was drinking. And
gets bright, though.
he made a lizard joke, and it just killed,
basking under
murdered
the
me.
sun.
And he's like, he goes, he asked something about like me hatching eggs because like I was like, you motherfucker.
Dude, that's the best part about a good roast. You can't even be mad. You're just like, fuck, that's
exactly.
funny.
But Dakota did that same thing, except for two big factors. Ever since that battle with Parker, I've been putting on a cream so that I'm not shiny.
Anti-lizard cream.
And two, exactly, anti-lizard cream. Shout out Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Shout out Spider-Man.
Bro,
And two,
hold on, I hate to cut you off, but you know what's crazy about that? That's the only character that's missing an arm like me, and he's a fucking villain. He tries to get himself an arm, and he fucking turns into a huge lizard person.
Bucky or whatever.
Oh, yeah, true, you're right, Bucky. He's cool. Sorry, but continue.
No, but Dakota did like 4 lizard jokes about me, and it didn't work because 1, I wear the cream, no shiny, and 2, I've been wearing a beanie on stages that are extra bright just in case the D shine doesn't work. So like, there's no shine for him to do. So he did 4 lizard jokes, and it was so hard for me to not rebuttal with a Jewish joke to his like.
Because you know,
I'm like, you're really gonna come in here with a yarmulke and make lizard jokes right now? I'm like, he was making it so difficult for me. Shout out to Dakota because he's is a great writer, such a good writer of like dark stuff, but with a like, oh, we're all in this together. I know.
Yeah, he's another comic who I feel like has a voice. Like I don't know how to describe it. Like you do just they have a specific.
I make the joke that only Sacramento comics would know, but he is the amalgamation if Parker Newman and Drew Absher fucked each other.
Dude, those are also 2 great comics. Like
the 2 amazing comics, both of them. But I've always thought he's got the look of Parker and the swag of Drew Absher. He dresses like.
Dude, what I admire about Parker is he can like stay in that awkward pocket. I mean, you could do this too. You guys can stay in that awkward pocket and not be uncomfortable in it, and like I don't know, get the laughs from it. Like it's harder than you would think to get the tension to laugh. I don't know.
To do that because he's only done stand up like under a year. I'm pretty sure. Or
Parker
barely
Newman?
just over. No, I'm talking about
Dakota. Yeah.
Well, no, I was talking about Parker. My bad.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
But no, Dakota is very impressive for being under a year. Because like it's been 8 months.
Like that's what I'm struggling as a new comic to like find yourself, find your type of like.
You
did it already so fucking quick. But that's because he grinds hella.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he did that shit, bro, and it's hard to do that as a new comic.
For sure. Like
I mean, I done over 10 years before I ever did comedy. I did 10 years of theater, music, improv. Like I felt like I was stage ready, and in my first 2 years, I would have good jokes, good one-liners, but nothing was ever sticking, and I was like, I don't understand why. And then I took a class, and I don't recommend all comedy classes because there's no comedy class that's going to make you funny. But there are certain comedy classes that'll teach you styles. And I took Johnny Taylor's storytelling class. And I actually recommend this to any new comic who wants to like tell story style comedy. Take that class because he's not going to make you funnier. But what he will do is he will help you take 2 minutes into 5 minutes. He'll take 60 seconds into 3 minutes of just fluffing out a story, and he'll show you how to do it. And I remember going into that class, and the story is of my fucking 12 hours in jail, like in county jail one night after getting fucking roofied. And I was like,
wait, I mean,
it happened.
I'm like, so this is a bit on reality.
Yeah,
like
and so
that's insane.
I went into Johnny's class and I was like, I want to tell this story. I was like, I don't know what it is though. And so I went up there and I maybe had a minute and a half of just beats of a story. And he's like, okay, so, and he would just tell me like, okay, so this area, punch that up, and what's the actual joke? And by the end of the class, it's only a couple of weeks, but by the end of the class, there was one line that I kept saying in the middle of this 8-minute long story that would get the biggest laugh. And he was like, well, what if you just cut that here and put it at the very end and just say it this one time? And I did it that day, and then I did it at the showcase, and he let me headline the showcase. And that night, he comes up to me and he goes, you're a storytelling comic. And like at that point, I was like, oh shit, I think I am. And so ever since then, I write a lot of just story-driven stuff. I think my shortest joke is maybe a minute 10.
Mm-hmm. So, but did you start out that way, or did it like just slowly over time? You're like, now you probably can't write any other way, right?
I can't. Well, now I write like 2 pages for one joke.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I cut it down to a lot less.
Mm-hmm.
So a joke will probably start out at like 10 minutes, and I cut it down to about 3 or 4.
Dude, and that's another hard part for me is knowing like what to cut and what not to cut. You know,
gotta cut so much more than you would hope so.
Yeah,
Because help me on the roast.
Because it has to be concise.
There's
like,
so many parts that are like, this is just, it's funny because like there was one part of your joke that I helped you cut out. What you cut out was not funny.
Yeah.
It was actually super funny.
Yeah.
But it was one beat too far in the joke.
Yeah.
And for me, that's where I've got to find out where it's like,
The
okay,
rhythm?
what is the punchline? Because in the story, in the long part of the story, what is the punchline? That's where we're going to end the story. So what is the fluff in between, and where are the jokes? And Johnny does this one joke. It's his Hoobastank joke. If you've ever watched Johnny Taylor, there's a whole 2-minute part in that joke where there's no jokes, there's no laughs, there's no punchlines at all, and the
Sounds
crowd
scary.
will just sit there staring. And so many times I'm like, if this punchline don't hit, this is gonna be the most awkward fucking. Like, I've heard the joke a dozen times. I'm like, oh man,
Still
if this
get
shit don't
nervous,
hit.
yeah.
And then it'll hit, and I'm like, oh, thank God. Because it's like,
But
to be able to do that is
the
a
confidence in
talent.
your writing.
Oh,
Like,
Yeah.
too.
And
I
so
can't
I've been
imagine.
trying to write, like, not that joke. No, obviously not trying to rip off anybody's joke, but trying to write a joke where I feel comfortable in the silence. There's a couple of my jokes that have a silent part, and I've ended up cutting them out because I'm like, I need a laugh there. I'm not ready for that yet.
Is it ever hard for you to figure out like where your ideas are going? You know, if you're like, oh, this should go better with my screenplay for this narrative, or this would be better as a bit, or like, or is it, or pretty much like.
I write everything through like the lens of. So when I write jokes, for me, I give myself time to write jokes every day, even if it's only 20 minutes. It's in the idea that I'm writing a joke. When I'm writing a script, it's for the script. But there have been a few instances where I'll be writing for a script, and I'm like, oh, that's a joke that I can just say. And like, it serves me better than it serves this
story.
script. I can take that. And I think there's been a few instances of that. Where I'll have like a character or something be described, and I'm like, that's just a joke.
Yeah.
But it's never usually the other way around. I never find story beats inside my comedy stuff, because my comedy stuff it's twofold. It's either the stuff that I write, which I'm now trying to write not
like what, first person?
No, I'm trying to write jokes that are not PG, because I'm not a child, but don't necessarily have to be about sex or cussing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But I do run my monthly Dr. Buddy Love show, which is a sex-positive comedy show. So I do write a lot of sex jokes on top of like all my other stuff. So I do get out my wiener jokes, or the stuff that's like in my head where I'm just, like the stuff that I have to get off my
muscle
chest.
still gets worked type of thing.
Yeah, because I think that especially for every first-year comic has a joke about their dick. Even if they don't ever say it in their set, they've written it down, and they're like,
100%.
They do.
I got like 4.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And
everyone does.
Eventually you get to a point where you're like, I don't need to be telling strangers about my penis at a bar with 4 people.
Yeah.
Or like, I got to a club and there's 200 people in here. Do I really need to walk out there and tell them about this rash on my penis I had one time? I don't. So you get to that point, but that's eventually, because when you're first writing, it's the things that are immediate to you. The things your family, your friends, your wife, your penis. But I've gotten to the point where I've never gotten out of being not immature, because you can talk about penises and be mature. But I got into a point where I'm like, I don't want to stop talking about sex because I never want to be at an age where I feel like I'm too old to talk about sex.
Yeah.
Because I want to be 100 years old and still having sex if that's
exactly that's possible.
So it's like I don't want to be like in my 40s and be like, I don't talk about sex. I don't do that. So like the Dr. Buddy Love stuff has just been.
Where did that like originate from? Like that idea from just you just already like liking that kind of comedy and being like, let me just throw a whole show like that. Let's make the whole fucking.
It came from I do a lot of work with just like, not necessarily charities. I don't want to like I do charity work all the time. That's not it at all. I do work with like Planned Parenthood and the LGBTQ Center in Sacramento. Those
are two great charities though.
Yeah, just through like other stuff like they've promoted shows that I've been on, or they've promoted companies that I've worked with.
Awesome.
So I started working with them, and they were like, "Hey, we want to support a show." And I was like, "Well, Planned Parenthood, how do I kind of use that?" Like, and I was like, "There's not a sex show in Sacramento. There's not like a show that's specifically about sex stuff." So I was like, Dr. Buddy started out as a show where what I would do is I would have comics come up, and they would do like 10 minutes of sex stories. Then I would come up in character as Dr. Buddy, who was a sex therapist who had never had sex before.
Okay, that's hilarious.
He's a virgin,
Funny,
but he
funny
knew
concept.
about everything. He had read all the books. And so I would come up and I would interview the person, just like asking them questions. And sometimes they'd be as silly as like, what's the weirdest sexy Halloween costume you can think of? But then it would be like, oh, what's your advice? Like female comics, I'd always give them what's your advice for like younger females dealing with disgusting DMs or whatever? Like just stuff to give them something to go off of. And
yeah,
shit
that's like easy to.
Yeah, and then eventually it got to the point because I donate everything to the charity that I was paying comics a lot out of pocket. So about November, October of last year, I was like...
Oh shit, it's not even that long ago.
Yeah, I was like, you know what, I'm going to change the show. And so I just started doing an hour by myself. I walked in one day and...
I thought the format was always that. Okay, that's crazy.
No, it just started in like October or November. I walked in and the owner of the club, Jesse, was like, hey, who's your guest tonight? And I was like, they bounced, so it's just gonna be me tonight. And then I did it. It went really well, and then I continued to do it. So.
Dude, wait, but so you weren't like, because I'd be scared shows to come up to a club owner like, yeah, dude, no one's coming. I'm just doing this. Like, you weren't worried about his like reaction to that, or like, or you just knew like I'm gonna have a good show, so he's gonna be.
You should respect all club owners.
Oh, I mean,
but,
yeah.
But if you sell out the show, I don't think it matters who you bring on.
Because you're making them, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because at the end of the day, it's what all the club owners want. Is, you know,
I
free
did
to
a
sell
lot.
tickets.
I love Stab Comedy Theater. I know it's an improv theater that does stand-up comedy, but I got to do a lot of cool shows there, and I still love doing shows there, and I get a consistent audience, which is weird because I'm always scared that I'll get a returning audience who just heard these hour-long jokes a month ago, which is terrifying. So I'll always add like a few new ones just so I'm like not the exact same, so you heard something new if you came. But most of the time I'm like, oh, pray to God it's a new crowd, pray to God it's a new crowd. When I had a bunch of girls like a month prior tell me they're like, oh my goodness, we're gonna come out next month. I was like trying to book comics. I'm like, I don't have anything new. And then I went up to do it again. Thank God the crowd was a different crowd. I was like, oh, they didn't come back. But yeah, it is terrifying, but I never was gonna find out if I can do an hour if I didn't do it myself.
Another question I had was like, since I'm a first year comic, would you say it's better at open mics to like practice new material often, or like just hammer in like my usual, like get a usual set that like I keep repetition, you know.
I know people would see type of thing.
Yeah, I would say continually test out new stuff as much as humanly possible.
Okay.
If you got jokes that you like, if it's a bigger crowd, I always judge by the crowd. I always judge by the open mic crowd when I go to. If I go to a comedy spot and it's a full night, they're getting the hitters. Shit, They're getting anything that I like, feel confident in. if it's a smaller crowd or if it's a bar mic, I tend to throw out as much new stuff as possible.
Just to
because
see
if
what
I can
sticks.
get like laughs off that, then I know there's body to that joke. And telling them my jokes that I know get laughs in bigger parts or clubs, and hearing like one or two crack because they're kind of paying attention is not fun for me. So like I say, especially when you're new, work to get your 5 minutes. Work till you can get 5 minutes so that you can be booked on shows, so that you can be available for like guest spots, so you can do open mics and impress people when it's time. But for the most part, I would say 80% of the time, try as much new stuff as possible. Throw as much shit at the wall. You don't know what kind of comedy you like or what kind of comedy you want to do. Even if your my favorite comedian is George Carlin.
Oh, yeah.
I sound nothing like George Carlin, and my style is absolutely nothing like his. But
it still helps you
I'll throw a bunch of jokes in his style just at the wall just to see how they sound. Like I will throw jokes. I'll do a night of one-liners at an open mic, even though I don't do that style of comedy.
Like that right there sounds terrifying to me, but I'm still so new, you know?
There's even times I'll admit, like, I was scared to do the crowd work show.
Yeah.
I've done improv for so many years.
Dude, shout out to Josh. When I did that crowd work show, I was so nervous, but he made it in an environment where it was like, dude, if you want to do 10 minutes more than the 5, you could do that. If you want to do 3 minutes because you think you're, shit in the bed and you want me to come save you, I could do that too. So he made the environment so easy to be like, okay, if I bomb or I do good, like either way he's boosting me up. So then it became like so much easier to do.
And the crowd work is
so shout out to Josh for that.
Yeah, shout out to Josh Means again. But like the crowd work show for me was, I was like, I'm an improv kid. I should be able to do this, but I've never done it on one of my sets. So I asked him to let me do it. It is now one of my favorite shows to do because what it makes me think of is that old grandma in the back of the room. I'm not necessarily looking for her, but if she's eating like the first one I did, there was some old ladies who snuck in some fried chicken and were eating it in the back corner.
Like that has to be discussed.
Just like we have to discuss this.
Yeah. Like there's no way you're gonna be in this room. We're not gonna talk.
I love. And then the last one I did, it was just like a really racist old white guy who was trying so hard not to laugh, but everyone was just going at him, asking him what kind of drugs he likes, asking him which one of his family members he'd want to have sex with if he had to. Like the old question, would you rather shoot your dad in the head or have sex with him? Like they asked him that. They were like, they were going. He's just like, I wouldn't have sex with my dad, and they're like, you'd shoot your father. That's so fucked up. And
you love guns so much you would shoot your fucking dad.
And it's just one of those things where that allows you to fuck up, because you'll ask an audience member and sometimes they just won't give you anything, and now you're like, okay, next question. Instead of like trying to float and just be like, why don't you want to answer my question? And you're just like, there's a bucket here. I'll ask one more question to somebody else who will play my game or whatever.
Exactly. It was hard to like sit and keep going back and forth with someone for my first time doing crowd work. So it was exactly that, like just getting the joke off and then switching. Yep. So because
I don't think I'm there yet.
Dude, I think you can do it, bro.
Do you think you're there yet, or do you just like?
I think you.
When you have the confidence type of thing.
I think for the crowd work show, it's. For something like that, it's when you feel like you have like a good 2 minutes and you're not scared of being on the stage. Because you start out doing like 2 minutes of your own work. Then it's just asking questions from a bucket. It basically spoon feeds you how to do crowd work. Yeah. So like all the comics, the bartenders, and all the people working there, everyone's writing questions ahead of time and throwing it in a bucket. That one's really good for just spoon feeding.
Yeah, it's like crowd work with like training wheels on it, pretty much. That's why I was so like scared, and then I went in there, and then it was.
If you ever feel like you ask the question, even if you think it's a good question, that person answered you, and then and you responded, and it didn't get anything. It's not like, oh, I need to get to my next joke. It's not like, oh, I need to save this joke. It's here's another question. Okay. Like it's so
until we get it
that
going.
one is training wheels. The competitions that Josh, shout out to Josh, but the competitions,
those are training wheels.
I think it's a really good way to like for new people because that's not a bringer show. But if you bring people, there's a good chance that they're gonna vote for you.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not
Fill
a bringer
up the
show.
room, too.
Exactly.
Yeah, very good chance.
And they have good crowds for it all the time. And same with the roast battles. So I think it's a matter of the show. Like if you're trying to get on the All-Star show at Punchline, or you're trying to get regularly booked on like.
Yeah, I think we just want to get booked. Period. If we can speak for both of us, I think we just want to like.
It's do the ones where it's like, good one. Thelonious runs it. 36 Handles.
Oh yeah.
Shout out Thelonious.
Dude, she's great too. Her and Marshawn are.
My girl loves Thelonious.
Yeah, dude, she's hilarious.
It's the only time she ever cheered against me in a roast battle.
I'll go right home.
Dude, it was anytime so Josh likes to put me against white females. That's my number one demographic of battle opponents.
That's so funny you said that because when you gave me the first battle, I was like, "Can I please just not get a woman?" He's like, "Brian." I was like, "All right, then we can do Brian." Like,
it's not even.
And then, dude, and that's sorry, Brian. That's not like a.
That's not the best battlers in Bay Area are Alicia Dillon, female. Morgan Anderson, female.
Yeah.
Lexi.
Yeah. I was like, going to say Lexi. She's a killer. Like
female. Like every top battler is female. I have just battled every white female that has ever roast battled. And I think it's because, being a bi comic, Josh is like, they're basically the same thing. So anytime I'm against like a white lady, my partner, beautiful black woman, it's very much like, yes, beat her. Beat this woman into the ground. But anytime I go against anybody of color, she's like,
I can't go for you then.
If you lose.
I felt betrayed, dude, because my girl recorded my battle, and I heard her laughing in the background. I said, "Bro, what?" I was like, "Bro, what?"
Dude, you laughed at Sam's show?
Dude, that's so funny that you say that because when we're driving home from my battle, my girlfriend was literally like, "I'm sorry, I'm just gonna tell you, I laughed at one of Brian's jokes. I thought it was funny."
And she was fucking with me. She was like, "Oh, it was a girl laughing. Don't think it was me." I was like, "Motherfucker, that's you."
I know that.
Yeah, that's you.
Like, I recognize that laugh.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, that's hilarious. But it's just like, when they know you, it's fucking funny, you know?
Wow, yeah. He's right. But like, when do you think is it too early to try to put on your own show?
That I actually think is something that a lot more new comics should be doing, is putting on shows. Not necessarily at bars, because I don't think bar takeover shows are in any way making the scene better. And not like asking clubs to put them, and like not going to Punchline or Laughs and being like, "Hey, can I put on a show? I've been here 5 months," Yeah. But Stab is always looking for people who are willing to promote themselves, because you're not going to get that top promotion from Stab. Mm-hmm. But if you promote yourself and can get 20 tickets to 24 tickets sold, that is a great room to start. That's a great room to start.
Okay.
And it's also a way to network with comics. It's not necessarily you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. Yeah. But if you're going out there and like producing shows, and your idea is to get the people who you think are good comics, they'll see you working and putting in the work, and they'll get your name out there, and you'll get your name around to the other promoters and the other people putting on shows in Sacramento, because Sacramento has so many amazing bookers. Not a lot of them are going out to open mics, and not a lot of them are going out to like everybody else's show.
Exactly. So that's why it's like, how do you get your face in front of those bookers? But I guess at a certain point, you just have to
videos and people. Word of mouth, basically. I've gotten a lot of I gotten a lot of bookings.
Because if you consistently kill, no matter what, eventually people will hear about you, right? Like,
exactly. I gotten most of my bookings because
I feel like it always comes back
Buddy
to that.
used to sell out a lot. Like Dr. Buddy used to constantly sell out. Now we still get like a good 20 to 25 people a show, but we used to sell out constantly. I used to run a room called the Rust Room, which coming back really soon. You went to that show one time.
Yeah.
You went to a roast battle there.
Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to Buddy, because when I worked at Cola's, like, I always wanted to do comedy, but like, I've never done none on stage, like no theater, none of that shit. So like, he just gave me the first like ticket to go to a roast battle, put me on the guest list. like it's nothing to put somebody on the guest list.
Yeah.
But when you don't know, you're like, that shit, he got me on the guest list. Like,
You're feeling crazy and shit.
but like,
yeah,
bro,
fuck
you
yeah.
just brought me into the world and kind of introduced me to the scene. And it was like a couple years after going to your battles and shows, I was like, I'm trying it. Like,
Yeah, I'm glad you did. As soon as you said that, I was like, you hit me up one time and you're like, I think I want to try comedy. I was like, yes, do it. Jump on the open here's the open mic list.
real,
Like,
That's so. He's like, you're Josh
me
to
the
me.
list,
That's
bro.
insane.
yeah. Marcion Evans, who
shout out.
we were talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, shout out to
used
Marcion,
work
that's
with
a-
me, and he was like in a really bad car wreck and out for a while. And like as soon as he was able to come out with people, I was like, I got a roast battle. Come on out to it. He came on out, got super fucking drunk. Shout out, stole a cup from Punchline. And then he was like, I'm gonna try it. And then the next week he started doing open mics.
That's
and he
crazy.
never stopped. And I'm like,
funny too.
Dude, yeah,
bro.
dude, Marshawn is, dude, and the best part about Marshawn is he's literally the nicest fucking guy. Like, dude, I like,
Nice as
6'6"
Yeah.
volleyball player.
yeah, exactly.
Dude, he has
Exactly.
this Mace Windu bit. That was like the first time I seen him like do comedy at Stab, and I was like, this
Yeah.
guy is like fucking hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
It's like the second mic I ever went to.
Dude,
That's just-
him and Lexi were the first two comics that I like saw when I was first coming. Because I first started going to Stab in my first open mics, and they were the first two where I was like, "Oh shit! Like these people are like funny,
like,
dude.
it's
Like,
good.
yeah, like this guy's good. I remember them
was,
too.
Lexi was good early on. Shout out Lexi and Antonelli. But she was one of
Yeah, I
my
saw
last
both them in, like-
headliners for Dr. Buddy before I turned it into a one-man show. Because she had like kind of just started picking up steam, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I want you on the show. She did it, and like I remember her coming in and saying like, oh, I don't think I can do 10 minutes. I was like, it's cool. Just like call me out whenever you want. Like you can do 5 minutes, and then we'll just talk longer.
Yeah.
But I also never lit her because I was like, she said she couldn't do 10 minutes. But I timed her, and she done like 17 minutes before she finally calls me up. And I'm
Realized,
like, you couldn't do 10 minutes. Like, I'm like,
But
you
it's
did a little bit more than.
It was just like the pre-nervous, maybe.
Yeah, that's why I love Stab in like smaller clubs because it's
so intimate, bro.
Yeah.
Shout out the sesh. They have like
Yeah, dude,
Shout
Josh
out
is.
Josh, man.
Yeah, shout out to Josh. Josh is.
Josh on the pod, bro.
Yeah, dude, we gonna get you on here somehow.
that kid is really
Killer too, bro.
Yeah, killer,
young,
dude.
too. He's so young. He looks older than me.
But he's
Say
like-
that you look older than me.
But yeah,
But
dude.
no, he's young as hell, and he's so funny, and he's so willing to
just try
look
shit, dude.
stupid to try something.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, that's like what. Yeah,
I have so much respect for that. Like doing jokes at Cobb's that are like, oh, I just thought of this on the ride up.
That's
Yeah,
That's
he
crazy.
made me
like,
feel,
you got both,
dude. He
bro.
made me feel so silly because I'm at the roast battle and I'm like sweating, like, all right, dude, fuck, I hope this goes well. Like, when's your battle? And he's like, I'm with Logan. We're gonna go last. Like, we're just gonna see how it goes. Like, he was completely nonchalant, and then I was like, I am so fucking stupid for being this worried. And he's like,
All
dude,
worked
we're
up.
gonna be
yeah,
chilling. And I'm
yeah.
like, dude, he's gonna go out and kill. So I'm like, if he's
And he
super
hasn't
chill
been doing
about.
center for that long either.
No, I
That's
think,
what's
yeah,
ridiculous.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
under a year or two. But he's got there's
Consistency.
Such a great support staff.
True, that too.
in, like that small pocket of people like Josh Means, Logan Farr, Lex.
Yeah,
like,
all great
to start
comics.
with that group and to be able to start the sesh, very cool. And
Yeah, especially that new dude to be doing all that awesome stuff.
Yeah,
I
dude.
mean, and
dope.
The
he
merch is even fire. I was like,
Yeah,
fuck,
I
man.
know,
Like,
bro.
is there something you're bad at, Josh? Like, fuck, dude. I've been doing the same amount of time as you.
Central
He played basketball. He was a hooper too.
Yeah. I'm like, fuck,
he's
dude.
an athlete too. Yeah, that's the other
this
thing.
fucking
Is,
guy.
Yeah,
he,
dude.
He's killer. And
Yeah,
roasting
dude.
him
He's
was
Mr.
super
Still
fun.
your boyfriend and girlfriend. You can't keep anything around him, man.
he did. Yeah, he roasting him was super fun this year too because he's one of those people that he was a little like, oh, I don't know what to do, but I told him to come up because my whole thing this year is I want as many people to hate me as possible. So like when they're doing the interviews, I'm doing like really sleazy stuff. Like it was me versus Josh, two white dudes, and I specifically in the interview was like, I'm just glad for once the main event isn't two cis white dudes.
Do you like WWE shit?
That's what.
So you're a heel.
Josh,
you're a heel.
Once Josh said we want to do more WWE stuff, I was like, bet.
Yes. That's what sold me too.
The roast battle we did. You know that video that
didn't.
You know that video that didn't come up in the middle of. They had set up a video to do like.
Yeah, but they couldn't get it up. Yeah, I remember talking about.
That was supposed to end with a video I had shot where I had called out all the judges from my last battle, Johnny Taylor, Adam Strawberry. Like, I called them a bunch of names. I did, wear your tinfoil hats. It's conspiracy time, guys. And I did a whole video about how, like, they're trying to hold me down.
That's so fucking funny.
I called Patrick. I was like, I have to face this Joe Rogan cosplayer. And I was just like going in on everybody really hard, but in the most over-the-top way. And I finish it by like pretending to be an online fucking influencer where I'm like, all right, little buddies, make sure you use the code BuddyIsGod to get your ED pills. And that was how it was supposed to end. And then when that video doesn't play, I'm like,
this is my whole fucking setup.
The battle is still good. But like the whole idea of me dismissing and punking Patrick was all set up in that video. So I'm like, whatever. But
so how do you
the
play
same
that?
thing happened with that interview because Logan was supposed to ask me, like, after I'm like, at least it isn't two cis white guys. He was supposed to say, aren't you a cis white guy? And I was supposed to say, no, I'm 1/16 Cherokee. And that was supposed to be the end of it. That's great. But instead he just totally talks over and calls me a little bitch. And it just, if you watch the video of the interview, I'm just like, so confused because I'm like, I just said something stupid and the audience isn't going to realize I'm an idiot until the battle actually happens now. Whereas before, if he would have said his line, but it's just so funny because I told Josh Davis, I was like, when you get on stage, I was like, flex at me. Like, and I will totally fucking fall on the ground like I'm scared of you. Like, because the whole idea is I'm pretending to be tough. So if you call me out or punk me, like as soon as Logan got up there with his leg or to toss Josh to the table, I like ran to the side of the I was like, as soon as Mr. Cutabody was coming in, I got off the stage because I was like, oh, this sounds scary, and then I just walked over the stage. Because the whole idea is like to play scared of everyone but acting like I'm tough. Yeah,
because I think it's so lame when like comics try to act like overly, I don't know, like cool. Like we're not supposed to be cool. I don't know. We're supposed to be funny.
No. Anytime somebody tries to like punk me at a roast battle, I feel so awkward.
Yeah, because it's like, dude, we're comics here. Like
that's what. Like it's like you're not gonna actually like.
Yeah, like we after this we're gonna smoke and hug each other.
He
like
just kept calling me a bitch, but he like kept.
Like
saying,
serious,
like, Buddy's such a bitch. He's like the kind of bitch that you just punk out all the time. And I would like do my joke, and then he'd be like, "Yeah, but he's like a bitch, you know." And I'm like, "There's no way I lost this." And then all the judges were like, "He did call you a bitch a lot. But you didn't say one thing about it." And I was like, "He was." Like tough guy, like
like that shouldn't even warrant a response. But at the same time, now that you've been a judge and shit, like how much of it is like giving your opinion and getting bits off and like you know, because I feel like you got to balance all that when you're a judge, right?
If I get,
does it make you respect them more or less?
Yeah,
being a judge.
It depends. For me, I know everybody's different when it comes to judging. For me, I do want to get my jokes off because it's my time to get jokes off.
Exactly.
So I'm there for
if I get the list of battles beforehand, because you know sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. If I get the list of battles beforehand, I have in my phone app or my little notebook, I have a joke written about each person just the way they look. Just based off their look, I have a stupid, as I get to the show, if I see a bunch of people and I'm like, oh, you're on the show tonight? I'll write a stupid, like, oh, so-and-so's face is stupid or whatever. Like, just something about them that they look. And then when the battle actually happens, I'm not trying to write my jokes. I know a lot of people are like, oh, these two people are up here. I'm going to write my jokes while they're up talking. I try to pay attention because I actually want to like give an opinion on the roast. Yeah. But I do want to get my jokes off. Mm-hmm. I think there has to be a balance, and I think some people do it amazingly well. Anthony Saccaro's
he's great. Saccaro's a goat judge, honestly.
Logan Farr is a great example of judging. I think the best, and he doesn't do it often enough, is Luke Soin because he'll write like actual jokes that happened inside the battle, and
He was he's our judge. Yeah.
No.
Well, he wasn't Luke. He wasn't next to.
No, that was Jack.
Oh, you're right.
Jack
You're right.
Wheeler.
You're right. You're right. That was Jack.
All white guys look the same. But no, he writes out like actual bits inside the roast that he either loved or that he wanted to tear apart, instead of like, oh, you look like this, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's like your joke about communism. Well,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
a communist. You know, like he'll flip it on them.
Yeah.
And then that's the kind of judging I like. But there's also the judges who realize you're not going to make $1 million off judging roast battles.
Yeah.
So if you're there, it's cool to just get off as many laughs as you possibly can.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
all
love,
reason.
I love the people who do that too, but for me personally, I'm like, I wish
Yeah.
People actually
as
judge.
somebody who
Battles all
the
the time, right?
judges portion takes up a lot longer than my actual battles every single time.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like the judges are usually longer than the battle, unless
Anthony
it's two bots.
Zaccaro just put out a video that is just him roasting me from him being a judge at my battle with just one battle from Patrick. And I remember going to LA and the same thing happened to me is I was battling Artie and Kim Condren, who is an amazing LA comedian.
Yeah, oh yeah, dude.
She was a judge.
Yeah, I've seen her on YouTube, dude.
She went in on me for like 7
Really?
minutes about my long. There was somebody in the front of the audience who was like, "Get off stage! She's not gonna stop."
dude. But that's kind of an honor too, because she's a great comic
Dude,
too.
she just tore me up. And then funniest thing ever is we're all hanging out comics afterwards, and out she comes with her boyfriend, who was just a skinny version of me. And I was like, "Oh, that's something personally you had written before. That's something you had to say to somebody else."
Yeah, like you just already had that. Like,
Yeah, I was like, I think that
Bubble
was
up.
for somebody else.
Doing that shit all day.
I love doing comedy. I don't do it as often as a Josh or a Logan. I do a lot of this so that I can get to becoming a better script writer and get to
yeah, because like stand-up's
writing
not
for
really
people.
your end goal, right?
I would love to be doing stand-up when I'm 60, but as a paid writer.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I want to...
You'd rather be like a Larry David or something, right?
Something like
That's
that,
my
a
goal.
creator, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's a good go. Like,
Because me and Gino keep talking about like you want to do something like that. Like
yeah,
I started an LLC for like film production.
Yeah.
Like I want to really get into like making
dope as
comedy
fuck.
sketches and shit like that. Like
yeah.
so we want to make a show of like Curb / like Sunny Days in Philadelphia, but like for minorities, like we can do that shit. So like
Yeah, like it's always sunny, but for I guess minorities, I guess.
for, like Mexican people.
Okay, I feel like, no,
You know what I mean?
I honestly, I think that like script writing, this helps so much with script writing, and especially like the roasts where I have to write something new all the time. Is like script writing is so difficult. My shitty little college degree is in creative writing in script writing, and I've been doing it for a decade, and I have 2 scripts that I'm proud of. One that I've like shopped around and got a lot of like I've won awards as far as like film
That's
awards,
amazing, by the way.
but like just for writing. It's never been made, no clips or anything like
Well,
that.
that's still great though. I mean, that's,
It's something, and I'm proud of it. But the movie that I've been writing, honestly, it's the shortest time. But I see the movie as maybe being less than an hour, maybe slightly over an hour. It's to me, it's like that low budget comedy I've put together, like what the budget would be. And if I made it with people I know, I could do it for under 10 grand. And it's one of those things where it's like I can definitely see myself building and making this movie as just a proof of concept of who I am as a writer.
yeah.
Where it's like my first
Yeah.
show or my first movie or whatever is not going to be a studio film with studio backing and studio money. It's going to be a fucking short film made with a college crew, or it's going to be made at home with like
that's
self-made equipment.
That's another question. I was like, I think I want to make a leap into try to get into like acting, or at least like learn the skill and stuff. And I feel like, or I guess not. I feel like I'm just asking, is that easy to do from coming from stand-up, or is it something like completely different, would you say?
I think it's a lot easier going from stand-up to acting than it was the way I did, which was acting to stand-up. Because from stand-up to acting, you're writing a character every time you write a joke. You're writing who you are, who you want to come off as.
Yeah,
every time
exactly.
you write a roast, every time you write anything comedy-wise, you're writing in a character or as,
100%.
even if the character is you. So it's easier to like take that, go on stage, and be like,
Yeah, an exaggerated version of myself.
in front of the
usually.
world, and then take that to being funny in front of a camera than it is to being in front of a camera or being on a stage as a theater person and being so, like, for me, the first 2 years of my doing comedy, I would not, if an audience member started fucking up my comedy, I would pretend they didn't exist.
Yeah,
which is
Yeah.
not a way to do it.
Right now.
Yeah, dude, because it's like for a long time scary. I've just started doing it like
And
recently, but
for
it's
me as like
scary.
coming from theater where it's like if the audience is acting up, they don't exist.
Yeah.
Like in theater, they do not exist. So I'm like acting on stage and
Yeah, because you're
I'm like, this audience member's got a funny shirt. Why don't I say something about his stupid funny shirt? Like, this guy's wearing fucking goggles. Why am I not saying something about his goggles?
Yeah.
And to overcome that took way too long. Whereas I think the other way around, if you're in front of people often enough, being in front of camera is easy.
Yeah.
Because it's like you know how to play to people.
Yeah.
You know what gets a laugh. You know what's awkward and what's not.
But you know, 'cause I heard Andrew Schultz talk about like, cause he's been doing a lot of movies recently. He's like just stand up dude, and he's like it's hella harder for him.
Everyone's different.
I don't understand, like, from that kind of sense, it's all about being funny.
Yeah.
And if you're funny, if you want to be an actor, it's a lot.
But it's just like
Dude,
you're not
because
funny.
but I'm just wondering, like, if I want to do acting and stuff, is the timing the same for comedic acting? Is the delivery the same? Like, do I play it
No,
out the same way?
absolutely not.
Exactly. So it's like, how do you?
You definitely got to learn, and that's either by doing it or by taking classes. And I think...
I think I'm gonna take that leap, but yeah, I'm just like
I
scared.
think doing it is the best way, personally. I don't want to discourage anybody from going to a class or a school on anything, because I think higher learning and education is good. But I also think that nobody can teach you to be funnier.
Yeah.
Nobody can teach you to be a good actor. You can just care about it and do it well. Like,
Yeah.
you hear about...
And same thing with is the same thing with writing as well?
yeah,
It's
exactly.
like
I can definitely tell that I've skipped 5 days of writing because I'll start writing and it just doesn't sound like a sentence that matches together. Like the words won't be the way I speak. The words won't be in my comedy voice. And as soon as you start doing it every single day, even if you just write down a joke you will never say at an open mic, I probably have at this point 2 or 3 notebooks of stuff and maybe 4 or 5 pages of those 2 or 3 notebooks
which actually is.
I actually use. Some of it I know I'll never use. Sometimes I'll just write stuff that is stupid in my brain. It's like writing Suba's roast on a piece of paper. Like, oh, so-and-so is fat and ugly and stupid and dumb and ugly and poor and broke and ugly and stupid and dumb. It's just like writing things out makes you creative. Like, it makes you think of something funnier.
So it's like, because a lot of times I won't even take the time to just start the writing. But you think if I just put the pen and paper, it'll just come.
It's not gonna be 100% every time.
Well, I mean, yeah,
And if you can shoot for,
yeah, not like it's not gonna be
yeah.
good, but it's good to just have something.
it's gonna be something.
It'll
And then-
eventually, yeah.
And if you start seeing that, like, hey, I'm writing a lot of stuff about hamburgers. Maybe there's something about this. Like, maybe
That's drawing me to
maybe
that.
look
yeah.
at these fucking 5 hamburger jokes that I just wrote in a row. Maybe I either need to eat, or maybe there's something about stupid hamburgers that I can write a joke about, and you can piece things together. I'll go back into old notebooks of jokes that I'm like, these are trash. And I'll look at them and I'm like, yeah, but that one line is not so bad. And I'm like, what if I say that one line with a couple of different words? Let me throw it into something else completely and see how that works. And it's not about, like, hitting a home run every single time. It's not about doing anything perfect every single time. That would be impossible, and it's so hard to even think about. Whereas if you're just up at bat every single time, you're gonna hit something. You're gonna find something. Like I don't think that I saw our poor dear old Subas get a laugh for the first couple years, but it was just because
I can't even imagine that.
he's a goddamn folk hero.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just remember, like, it's so weird to see how newer comics see him versus how people who have been with him for 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Our perspective is way
so different.
Yeah, exactly, because we're like outsiders coming in, you know, or I guess not outsiders, but you know, like new guys to.
I couldn't imagine.
We're barely catching up on the lore.
Exactly. I couldn't even imagine nowadays thinking like this. But there was one time where I wanted to punch Subas. Like, we're not at an open mic. And they had this stupid rule where they would just throw the list out into a group of comics.
Why?
Like sharks. Because
Like
that was
sharks.
part of the joke. And so everyone's like fighting to get the thing. It's Halloween one night, and we're all dressed in costumes, and we're doing comedy, getting drunk. I'm outside sneaking my beer, drinking, and they throw the list out. I don't see it. I don't notice what's going on. Fucking Subas football tackles me to get to this fucking list.
Dude, because he's always first.
Dude, he will fight grown men for it. So what I did was
He'll be at stab, just like in the corner, like as soon as it's like 7:30, sign up. Like
Yeah. I snatched him by the collar. He was dressed like fucking a doctor or something. So I snatched him by his costume and I just held him there until everybody else signed up except for him. And I was like, I'm gonna hit this man. I'm gonna hit this man. And everyone's like, don't hit him. Don't hit him. It's Subas. And I'm like, he just knocked me to the ground. Like, I was like, I'm gonna kill this man.
My knees are on the ground.
you got post Subas clarity, like,
And then I let him go, you know.
harm him.
And then for a few weeks, I'm just like, I'm gonna hit this man next time I see him.
For
And
a few
then-
weeks is crazy. That means you was like premeditated for a while.
Oh,
You're
it
like,
was-
is
it was
today
gonna
the day
happen.
I'm gonna fucking.
But it's just he's just a
He's a
sweet,
character.
dumb old man. And
Yeah,
I'm like, I can't hurt this
Remember
fool.
we were talking to him at the Rose Bed on Friday, and I forgot what we were talking about, but we explained it straight to him, and he's like, no. Oh, no, you asked him if he was battling at the mothership or something.
Yeah,
He's
no,
like,
at
I'm
Comedy
not.
Store.
He's like, no, I'm not.
And he was like, you know, I was like, so you're not battling May 21st at the Comedy Store against Los Digits? And he's like, no, I'm battling Los Digits. And I'm like,
Dude, I was sorry. I was like, bro, what?
Bro, that's so funny. Now I know he was fucking with me because, like, literally on, I think, Saturday, I was like, aren't you having a battle or something, like, coming up? And he's like, what? What are you talking about? And I was like, you don't have a battle coming up? He was like, what? And then I just walked away.
Know what was going on.
No, dude. He was definitely fucking with me. He was 100% fucking with me.
he might have been fucking with you, but I don't think half the time he understands what's going on. Like, I'm excited for him to go to LA because LA does it a little differently. It's 3 jokes, and they expect you to be a little bit faster. So
Dude.
there's like people with mics in the crowd. There's people with mics like all around. So
That's different.
people are going to
That's
start
different.
talking when he goes on a long tangent. So every time I see him, I like give him little tips. I'm like, 1, it's only 3 jokes, not 4 jokes. Remember that, 3 jokes. And then I'll just give him little like...
Please some of the other ones. Alright, cool.
I'll just give him little hints and tips because I'm like, walking in there the first time is so intimidating.
Yeah.
Like even...
That's how I felt at San Jose.
Oh, that's hella cool. You went down there?
Bombed. But yeah.
It does not matter, dude.
I didn't even get a chance
does-
to go up.
I am 0-3 at the Comedy Store, but I continue to get up.
Hell yeah.
I continue to get up.
Hell yeah.
So that further proves, like, it's not really about winning or losing. It's
Oh,
just going there and
God,
just
no.
having a good time.
I've been
Or
at
having
the
a good
top
show.
of the division all year. Like I fought for number 1 contender was my first battle.
Oh, yeah,
My
yeah.
record going into this year was 8-16.
I don't
Yeah.
believe
I'm
you.
not-
I do not believe you, dude. I didn't.
I'm not a.
Okay.
I don't. there
That's
was a
crazy,
whole
dude. But you're
12
good
months-
as fuck.
There's a whole 12. It's because I look the way I do, and I know that. And
Yeah.
and Anthony Zaccaro told me,
Dude, but that's how I feel too with my hand because I'm like, dude, no matter what, they're gonna come at the
they're
hand
gonna come
jokes.
at the
Yeah,
hand.
yeah.
It's
like, but then it
I
also gives you
have
rebuttal
the
work.
Look, yeah,
Oh, that
I
one
have
was
the
good.
look that's easy to roast. So it's like I went a whole 12-month period where I did not win a battle. And
Dude, I
it
can't
did
picture
not
that 'cause
matter
you're like-
where I was, who I was battling. I battled some of like the shittiest battlers and would just lose, like just flat out. Like I battled a girl who I showed up wearing
the worst battler was a woman.
an old white woman, which I think is okay to make fun of.
Yeah. Even the liberals are like, fuck her.
Yeah, exactly. But she had only been doing comedy a couple months. Josh asked me to do the battle. I was like, sure, fine. Well, I don't give a fuck. So I did the battle, and all of her jokes were like about how I look like a sexy drug dealer. And then
Wait, where's the roast?
Exactly. And then at one point, because I was wearing these like really fucking weird striped pants.
Bro, how many stories are you gonna tell us they were roasting your pants? I think you got.
She
gotta
called me
start
the
changing
boy
the
in
pants.
the striped pajamas. Not even
shit.
like a real roast, but just said the boy in the striped pajamas.
Yeah.
And the
Just saying
crowd
what it is.
started losing their mind. And
No
I was
way.
Like, I'm gonna lose this battle to this girl remembering a shitty movie. Like,
The realization hit. You're like,
I'm like, fuck. And so it's been a lot like that. Like I've lost so many battles where in my head could not have lost. I'm like, oh yeah, I just murdered this person. And then as soon as the judges go, I'm like,
let's turn this
fuck.
into a story of redemption. So then, when was the battle? You're like, oh, the tide is turning for young buddy. Like,
no,
this year's gonna be different. Yeah, exactly. Right?
It was the 12th battle, which was against.
Do you believe in numerology?
Really
That's some numerology shit right there.
It was Tyler Cantu. I wrote some of my best jokes, and once again stuttered over my words, and I lost that way. And he
The
was
Jose
the one
special.
who I was.
To close the deal, he whips out his world famous roofied horchata. Roofied horchata.
The one who called me ugly. He's the one who called me ugly, and it just like threw me off a little bit. And so when I lost to him, I was like, I'm so fucking like better than this. So I started writing.
Yeah, because that'll piss you off, and you're like.
So I just started writing better jokes. And then my other thing was the
It's simple. If you guys want to get better at roasting, just write better jokes.
No, it was my rebuttals. I stopped doing. So instead of writing out my rebuttals, I just kind of like whatever he says or whatever my opponent says. That's what I'm gonna go off of. Like
Improv shit.
yeah. Dakota kept doing the lizard stuff. I went after. You're gonna keep calling me a lizard, okay?
Damn. So is it worth it for me to take an improv class if I want to keep battling?
No, more so just being
thinking on your
open,
feet.
like when you're talking shit with your friends.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
somebody pops off with something good.
Yeah, that's what it
You don't
feels.
just sit there and let him say it.
True,
You
true.
pop off with whatever, even if
yeah.
that. Thing
That's exactly what it
witty,
feels like.
quick and
Yeah,
witty.
that's
but
why I love the roast battles because it feels like you're in the classroom again, or you're at the lunch table again, and you're just waiting to
not
hear
a-
that everyone else laughs at
Exactly. The rebuttal isn't necessarily about like. Yes, when I first started, I would always try to write in another rebuttal joke, so it would be I would get my 8 jokes.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting my 4 really good jokes, and then my rebuttals are maybe I throw in another "you look like" joke, or maybe he says something about me being fat and gay, and I have a rebuttal for that, or maybe he says something like Patrick did a "you look like a melting Barbie." I said, "Oh, iconic beauty." And then he said, "You look like a grandma who blows the Grateful Dead." I was like, somebody's got to blow them. And the crowd just laughed their ass off because I'm like, I'm not going to let you just, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Because it's better to say something than nothing at all,
Exactly.
right?
And
Okay.
it could be stupid as me just telling the crowd that I blow old lady, or like I blow old dudes, but they don't care because I'm like coming back and quipping.
And
And
so they came to see.
Yeah.
It's like, just be funny. Just be silly with it.
Exactly.
And I think that makes
Because it's
for a
so much.
better roast.
It's so much better when you're just like in the moment. I totally know now. Like you got to just go with
true.
whatever's going.
You were
Because
really in the moment.
He
with,
was, dude.
thank you, dude.
Oh, you were in a flow state, bro.
Exactly.
I was because I kind of like blacked out, but I was still like just so fucking scared. Like
You played off of everything he said, and then when you did the "I've got a finger for every good joke he's told,"
Crowd lost.
dude, me and him were talking and planning that joke like literally the night before. I'm like,
if you would have
keeping
just
him
said
up.
"on this hand,"
Yes, it would
there
have
would
been so
have
much
been
better.
no rebuttal. But Anthony had the rebuttal that I thought of, which is, "You've got a
Whole other fucking hand.
You
Yes,
gotta
dude.
like tell him, you know?
Dude, when I heard him call that out, I was like, please tell me Brian didn't hear that. And he didn't, so I was like, okay.
didn't
Yeah,
mention it.
I was like, thank goodness. But when I was watching you guys, I was like, Brian's usually there's a lot of comics who are very I've got my 4 jokes.
Dude, he was playing off me great, so that's kind of crazy to
Yeah,
hear.
so I was like, no, I mean, if that's what makes you feel comfortable in a roast, that's what you got to do. But like, Brian's
First
very
one,
much like writes down his jokes, like he's got a set list of what he's going to say.
Yeah, real rigid.
But then it was so, you were laughing, you were smiling at him the whole time, so he felt like, oh, I can kind of go a little extra. I can say, like, I can go after the hand and have you put up the hand. Like the whole time he was talking in the back, he's like, if he puts his hand in his pocket, like,
yeah, I'm fucked. Yeah.
And you played with him.
Yeah,
he played
were
with
open
you.
to like you said, he were talking in the car. He said it's like a dance. Like both people got to be into it, and like he was like, if you showed the hand, so he's like, okay, I can go, and it made the battle just better.
Yeah, because if I hit the hand from him, we're both gonna not, because it's like, yes, I'm gonna rob him of a good joke, but at the same time, the crowd's gonna get robbed of a good joke,
exactly,
or something funny,
like if your opponent is like, you're unoriginal or you're boring. That's not you.
that's not helping out either of us,
It's the old wrestling adage of like, make your opponent look good too.
Yes, exactly.
You're gonna crush them. You're gonna say mean things about them. But like, I tried so hard to like work with Patrick's jokes or laugh at what he said. Or like, oh, that was a good one.
Yeah, dude, I've been homies with Josh for so long that I'm like, Brian. Dude, Josh would tell me worse shit on a Saturday night randomly, So I was like,
the whole time we sat there at the sesh before the battle was everyone just making fun of me and my Jesus outfit.
It was over like, what the 12 disciples? I was like, I don't know, I never read the Bible.
Like, I ain't that Mexican, that's fine.
Subas was like, the reason I did the whole Jesus outfit is because
I was gonna ask.
He was gonna ask.
During the pandemic thing, during the weird ass comedy pandemic, Subas had this joke, and it wasn't even like a real
Wait, I
joke.
carry like comedy pandemic for no one else. It was just us.
It was the weirdest apocalypse ever. No, Subas had this thing
Fuck the people dying. Comedians, the material was
we
dying.
Suffered, okay?
You guys are robbed of the real philosophers of society right now.
I had to do outside shows. I had to do shows.
I had to do
shows in a park where people were playing kickball.
Oh my God.
Kickball league was going on in the same
just
park.
heard kids saying, small baby bouncy. You know, when you're punchline, you're like, fuck.
But Subas had this bit that I don't know if it was terrifying or the funniest thing I've ever seen. No, thank you. But Subas would do a joke where the premise was the Bible can solve any problem in your life. And then he would ask an audience member, what's a problem in your life? And they would just say, whatever. Then he would grab the fucking Bible, open it to just a random page, then go up to a person who's social distancing from everyone, in a mask, trying not to be talked to, stick the Bible in the face, stick the mic in their face, and be like, read this. And every single time, people were so uncomfortable.
See, there's nothing you could tell me that doesn't convince me that's legendary. Like, that is literally the most legendary thing I've ever heard.
I would laugh so hard at it because I'm like, you guys don't get it. That's like...
Or, I mean, sorry, not legendary. I mean, that is super legendary. My bad.
It's Andy Kaufman level of insanity.
Yeah. There's nothing you can tell me that can convince me it's not legendary. Yeah.
And I don't think he understands what he was doing, but everyone is so uncomfortable to the point where the comics are now laughing uncontrollably because everyone doesn't know what's going on. Everyone's like, why is he... Like, everyone's like, I've got 3 masks on. The news has me have double masks on right now.
Dude,
6 feet, and you're right here in my face. And
I feel like creating tension in a room is just as good as creating a laugh sometimes. Like, if it's at the right time, of course.
If it pays off, yes.
Yes,
but
yes, only if it pays off.
Always so uncomfortable.
And there's no payoff. Now we see him with payoff, so I can't picture that.
Mics were like hiding their location because they didn't want certain comics showing up. Subas shut down mics. Like, it was a beautiful time because he was so crazy. And now he's like a folk legend in the Sac comedy scene. And
for
it's
sure,
so
dude,
funny
for
us who like
him, Logan, there's a few that I think are like legit, like,
I remember meeting Logan for the first time and thinking that he was a terrifying comedian, and I think he was
Dude.
on crack back then.
Dude,
Now he's all big and buff.
me having the one hand and then seeing a dude come up with no fucking legs, fucking kill. I was like, dude, there's no way. He's from here?
It was one time outside the session, me and Ivan, shout out Ivan, we talked to Logan for like an hour about UFC. He's like the most down to earth, like cool dude.
Yeah.
Like that's what's so crazy.
Dude, but I would say the majority of comedians are like, I don't know why there's the rep of like, oh, comedians will be, I don't know, rude or mean or anything, when everyone is so nice. So nice.
Yeah, it's not the case anymore, and it's weird because the ones who are cliquey are the ones who are kind of pushed out now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm gonna say. They're like almost more outcasted if you.
Yeah, the ones who like want to get in their group and only book their group and only hang out with their group at open mics. Those are the ones now that everyone's like, you guys are just dorks. Like,
yeah.
The fact that I can go to an open mic and go talk to Subas for 5 minutes and then go talk to Ethan Albert. There's not a sector of comedy that I don't feel safe or comfortable in.
Exactly.
And the people who like have to insulate themselves, it's just sad because I never thought I would be friends with somebody like Logan Farr. That guy and me have opposite views on so many things in this world, but we could talk and hang out for hours, hug each other.
That's the great thing about comedy, though, too, because it's like you're allowed to say your point of view and just give your own twist on it, your own opinion on it, and it's fine. Yeah.
There's going to be no. It's weird how unjudgy this scene is.
Yeah.
And it's so weird that it takes.
It's like my bad to cut you off. Like the only one in California that I feel like Sacramento was like you could enter say anything, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, but when I was doing comedy out in New Orleans and shit, though, it was even crazier, dude. People in the South, they like. We let shit fly, but dude, out there was like domestic violence jokes, racist, like just anything you could think of, they were just joking about. And I was like, dude, this is insane. Especially coming from like, I think we were just in San Jose and shit too, like right before. So I was like so used to Bay Area crowds that when we went I visited New Orleans with my family, but I ended up doing comedy out there. I opened for Samuel Bede, I can't pronounce his name. It was super dope. But dude, the crowds in comedy were so much different that I was like, holy shit, this is
everywhere is different. My favorite place I've ever been to, probably New York. Different. New York is like
That's my dream, dude.
Yeah. I was literally gonna say I've dreamed to do comedy there. The rooms there have like a mystical aura to them almost.
I didn't get into the cellar or any like clubs that are like special. I did dude,
you were in fucking
when
New
they
York.
were doing like when cannabis first started becoming legal. So there's like a building out there that's the first level is like they sell shirts, t-shirts, weed, stuff like that. The second floor is a dispensary. The third floor is like a music performing area. So like I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. So I'm in New York doing for like they're bringing in bags of weed, like the pound bags and shit. And everyone's just passing them around as we're doing comedy. I'm like, this is the coolest shit ever. But New York, Chicago, and definitely Portland. Yeah, definitely like
Portland. I wouldn't expect
as a whole is crazy.
Yeah, Portland.
Yeah, I want to know more about Portland just because I wouldn't expect that.
It's one of those ones where it's a lot of hippies, but it's also a lot of old white drug addicts. So like you can't get away with saying
that sounds like a recipe for the best crowd though, because I feel like the best crowds are the ones who are just down for whatever the fuck you're willing
whatever
to give
you're
them,
about to say, they'll laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were on heroin for like 10 years and then came back and have like a functioning person in society,
you'll fuck with this.
Yeah, you'll fuck with someone. So because I had a mom and dad who were just on drugs and in and out of jail. So like that's like my shit. Like
that's the same. Yeah, that crowd is never gonna scare me away. And
exactly. Like my foundation is in trauma. Like we're all in this together. If you're a stand-up comedian, that's mostly where the foundation is for most people.
80 to 90%.
Yeah, just because like the amount of like. I don't know. You got to be kind of crazy to be like, I need the validation of strangers to laugh at me, you know, like,
for sure.
And it gives me a boost that nothing else does, and I can't explain like why to anyone, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it really is a drug.
Yeah, dude. Like when
dude,
when you get off stage and have a good set, like, dude, it's so addicting. Like,
feel invincible.
Yeah, dude. I had my first open mic. People were like, it's not like I killed or anything, but just a few laughs, and that was just enough to have me like, okay, I got to keep doing it.
Best comedian in Sacramento.
Even if you get to the point where bad night. Once you get to the point where bad nights no longer bother you.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm definitely not there yet.
That is the most amazing feeling because then you can feel it happening. You can feel the moment when, oh, this set's not going good or I'm not getting laughs. At that point, nothing else matters. You can be mean to the audience. You can roast yourself. Mm-hmm. You can talk about how bad you're doing.
Because you comfortably don't care anymore.
That's the freedom of like, I'm already having a bad time.
Yeah, fuck it.
Let you guys have a bad time. So I always like to like.
That's what I need to
go
do.
after.
Yeah, dude. Like, because we're new, it's hard for us to like get to the
moment a crowd.
Yeah, because I'm scared of that.
Laughing at me. I always go with so you guys are homophobic. Okay, cool. Just automatically.
That's
because then
funny.
they have to like laugh and just like, oh, we're
not,
you know,
something to alleviate the tension.
You guys are racist. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If I was a white dude, you guys would have laughed at that. Yeah. If I'm a white dude talking about Mexican stuff, then it's funny. But a Mexican, like, just being able to like laugh with the crowd because then it's like once you acknowledge that the joke didn't go over well, it's a lot easier than to be like, okay, I'm just going to move on to the next thing. Yeah. And at first you want to move on to the next thing because you're like, that was awkward. Let me just do something that I think will be funny. But a lot of the times if you can just be like, man, you guys really didn't laugh at that. Was it the racism or like was it the, like, dude, what is it about me that you don't laugh at? Like you can play in that moment rather than just be like, okay, that didn't work. And next.
Yeah. Is it hard in script writing though? Because you don't get that same like because if you write a joke in script writing, you know immediately at stand up if it's funny or not funny because the crowd gives you a reaction. Like if you're writing it for a script or something, it's like fuck, dude, I don't know if this is funny until
You never know.
Yeah, that sounds fucking terrifying.
Right in front of you until somebody's acting it in front of you.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
It's on the screen.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
Yeah, dude. How do you?
But script writing is not for. But the thing about script writing versus comedy writing is comedy writing, you have to get those laughs on stage.
Yeah, you have to.
Whereas with a script writing, if 1 million people are watching your episode at home, if 1 million people are watching it, and 1,000 people laugh at one little joke you put in there, that is 1,000 people who have laughed at that joke. That joke is for those thousands of people.
Yeah.
Like,
because it's just not their humor if they,
the things we pick up on comedy movies that we quote for the rest of our lives are things that were funny to us. That whole new Kanye song, the beautiful big titty bitches don't.
Yeah. I love that song by the way.
Dogma, which is one of my favorite movies, and I quote that line all the time.
Kevin Smith, right?
Yeah.
Great movie.
You never seen that movie?
Dude, watch
I don't even know the Kanye song. I'm like, bro.
What? You don't know the Kanye song? It has Freddie Gibbs.
He just quotes it.
I just turned.
Freddie Gibbs.
Yeah, he just quotes from the movie Dogma.
Yeah.
There's a part where it's all about religion. So this guy's bringing this girl to
when you hear the line,
angel,
it's so
basically.
fucking funny.
And so, Jay from Jay and Silent Bob says, angels just don't fall out of the sky, Yeah. And Chris Rock, who's an angel, just falls out of the sky. So immediately he goes, big titty bitches just don't fall out of the sky,
Yeah.
And that's a quote that I've been quoting since I was a child. You can't even buy that movie now because Harvey Weinstein owns it. And Silent Bob made so much fun of him that he made sure that you could never buy that movie ever. And so it's so hard to find, so little people have watched it.
I know,
so when
dude.
that song came out, I was like, that's a joke for me and like 9 of my friends
Yeah,
who've been saying that since 2004.
Dude, and they play the movie in the song too, but people don't even
they play Jay's actual line, and the songs now become more popular than the movie, and I laugh because I'm like, I love that movie.
Yes, dude. Dude, Clerks was like
I know,
crazy.
It's Kanye. We're not supporting Kanye, but
okay. I'm not saying
that's the first great song he's had in like
a while. Yes,
a while.
Yeah,
yeah.
Dude. But I'm not gonna support anything he does as a person, but musically, dude. It's good.
It's not even that. It's just that kind of like niche quote is like when you're writing a script or a song or a movie.
Yeah.
But I think each joke can be for a segment of people. Yeah. Whereas if you're writing a comedy set list, it has to be for a majority of the room.
Yes,
Or else
exactly.
you're alienating too many people for that's no longer fun.
Like I love rap music, but whenever I try to do rap jokes, I'm like losing half the room. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to give up half this material because it's like,
explaining it to him.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, Drake and Kendrick are beefing, and they're like, who are these people?
Have you guys ever done Touch a Class?
What's up?
Touch a Class?
I've never done no class.
No,
Touch Class is a bar. Yeah. It's open mic. I haven't done it yet. No.
So I can tell.
Brother's been lost. Yo, the whole last 30 minutes, you just been like, what are we talking about again?
I'm Joaquin's brother.
yeah.
It's over by our old
Bro, I'm just
dispensary.
talking.
Touch a Class happens every Sunday at like 11 o'clock at night. It is a predominantly, usually all black room. And it is very harsh on like white comics and stuff.
I haven't done it yet.
I think Ivan was telling me about
See, it's really good.
Dude, doesn't David always host it actually?
No, he goes all the David
Oh,
Thorne?
yeah.
No, he'll go.
Oh, okay,
He's the one who brought me the very first time. I've only been twice. Because the first time I went, this lady in the crowd, like, it's always packed out because they have to pay too.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Oh shit! They have to pay for an open mic.
Black people are trying to get their money back.
Oh,
reparations go to fucking
this
Players
lady
Club.
in the middle of the crowd, I get up. I haven't even said anything. She just stands up and she goes, "Don't fucking start with me, white boy."
Oh,
and I was like, I'm sorry, ma'am." And then I tried to go into my first joke, and she said, "I said, don't fucking start with me, white boy." And I'm like,
exactly.
No.
She was probably doing the neck rolls and everything. You're like, oh, I gotta get the fuck
I
out
did
of
5
here.
minutes,
The shoulder
got
rolls
off,
and shit.
went
Neck rolls.
home. It was terrible. The next time I went up, I was like, fuck, I gotta try this room again because this is a really good room. Like this is something you gotta test yourself. Yeah. So I did really good. I was like, fuck yeah. I go to sit down. Lance Woods, who's an amazing comic, goes up and then does 25 minutes
At open mic?
about how white comics should never come into this room and just roast my ass entirely. The crowd is losing it.
But wait, before you go up?
No, after.
Oh,
so
after.
I'm feeling good
okay.
about myself. And then all of a sudden he goes up and just talks about how white comics should not come to Touch a Class. And I'm just like sitting there like, fuck me, dude.
I thought I did good. Like,
they were laughing harder.
I'm like, I had so many laughs. And now these guys are like getting out of their seat. A guy's eating like fried chicken, gave him a piece. Like they're vibing. I'm not vibing.
Because like, bro.
Gave him they're passing around the whole fucking a 12 piece.
A black laugh is like tough. That's like you're bombing.
Yeah. It's facts.
Like, dude, you're killing when they like jumping out their seat and shit like that.
Want to know something crazy? Whenever I'm walking into a club room or something, and I'm with my girl, if she sees like there's more of a black audience, she'll kind of give me like a nudge, like, look, there's a black audience, like it's gonna be a good time, like if you can
white
do
people
good,
do hate to laugh.
She's like, if you get them to laugh, like
at the Bringer show, I won the competition and like. It was a black dude, old fella.
But white dudes laugh too. I do want to make that clear. White dudes also laugh.
Hell yeah.
I've met some white dudes who laugh.
That's different than
yeah. No, you know you made a white person laugh when they do That's when I know like I did good. Like that's as good as I'm gonna get.
I had an OG like in the French like painter hat and like
painter hat is crazy.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh no, he good though. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm killing. I'm killing.
Wait, the French man sounded like fucking Jay from Compton? Like, what do you mean?
The page boy had
he tricked you.
Yeah, the page boy.
I love Laughs Unlimited room when it's loud. Like
yes,
dude.
Yeah,
that's one of the best.
I feel like
dude, like
that night.
Dude, like. What I've noticed lately is like when other people kill sometimes I'll catch myself like kind of getting jealous now, bro. Like it never happened before. Like someone will kill and I'll be like, damn, dude, I want to be up there. I wish I was on stage killing. Like, and I'll get like that kind of jealous. Like I wish I was there doing it, you know?
I like when a comic before me kills.
Mm-hmm. That scares me. True.
If I know, like, if somebody's warmed up the audience, cool. The other thing I like is that complete opposite when it's on me. Now I hated that shit when I was year 1, year 2, year 3 in. I hated they're real rough. Go out there, have fun.
Yeah.
Like, this is 40 plus people, and I don't
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
They didn't like guy who can do 10 minutes. You want me to like
Yeah.
that
It's
shit
not about that.
at first scared me. Now I'm like, oh, like anytime I'm at a show and they're like, oh man, it's a rough audience. I'm like, time to light them up.
Yeah,
for me,
yeah.
Because it's like I take that as a
Perspective, yeah.
personal challenge, but
Dude, and it feels so
took
good when you-
3 years for that to feel like I think I can change most rooms. Where when I first started, I was like, oh, these guys hate me before I even get the fuck up.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I have no chance.
So I mean, but that makes me feel better because it's like the confidence will build to that point.
Oh, it definitely does, and it's calluses. It's doing it
Yeah.
every time. It's bombing in rooms that are important.
Yeah,
I like
because
to
like,
say-
how do you get to a point where you don't care that you bomb? Like me, when I bomb, I still feel like a piece of shit. Like I feel like I'm garbage.
The rule of thumb is there is a 99% chance you will never see one of those audience members again, and they will never see you again.
So
It's
just
okay.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
okay.
exactly. Because like sometimes I'm like, okay, if I bomb, it's like fuck it, like it's good. And then other times I'm like, oh, dude, this is fucking terrible. I should just quit forever.
If you bomb and then like turn the audience or walk people, that's something to
That's
be
a
like,
win,
oh
yeah.
shit, no, that's not okay. Like you don't want to walk. You don't want
Oh, people to walk out. Okay. No.
yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah, no, no, I've
That's
never
a-
had.
that's a
I've
win.
never had a set that bad yet.
oh, I've had plenty of those. You'll
They walk out?
You'll offend somebody.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I've always
dude, I've had, yeah. So
You-
like random times I've offended people and shit.
You guys missed there was an old mic in Citrus Heights at the Scoreboard Bar.
Mm-hmm.
That was literally the Wild West of comedies. That's the one I'm talking. They would throw the signage just out to the crowd of.
Oh shit, okay.
Wow,
Dude, I feel like that's
First-
Henry's
the
now.
first
Is
three
Henry's not the Wild West now?
Henry's is close, but not anywhere near to what Scoreboards was.
Okay,
the
then
first
that must
3
mean it's
weeks of it being.
Because I'm
Yeah,
like, to
that
me, Henry's is the Wild West for us new.
The
people.
first 3 mics we had, a guy kicked out because I don't know if you guys have met Jumbo Shrimp. Subas is running it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, he's a smaller guy, and
Yep,
the
yep.
joke is Jumbo Shrimp. Get it? He's
Yeah,
Anyways,
he's a
buff-
jumbo
he's a
shrimp
buff,
version of him.
short guy.
Yeah.
Anyways, a drunk guy got up on stage and picked him up and started rocking him like a child, and like we had to pull this guy out and kick him out of the audience. The second week we had to,
I feel like, so like we missed
the crazy mic. The
Yeah, yeah.
second week they
Because
had to
now
kick a guy
everything's
out.
like fucking people are
Organized.
organized and people are
Nice.
chill. Now they're like 20 people. That's it. That's the limit. Like
because of the Scoreboard, which would go all night fucking long and let these drunk people. Like the second week, we had to kick somebody out because he was threatening to smash somebody with a pool cue. Week 3 was the most insane night.
That is insane.
A lady showed up super drunk, started yelling at the host before he even brought anybody up.
Oh my god.
He then proceeded to say, "Shut the fuck up, bitch." She then grabbed her bottle, grabbed somebody else's beer bottle, walked up to the stage and smashed it over his head, cutting him open. Then she goes outside, starts calling me a tranny and everybody all kinds of names, gets fucking two-pieced by a female comic, just bap, bap, bap. Her boyfriend who just met her that night.
dude, there was a fight and shit.
Yes.
Dude, I've
Open
never.
mic.
I'm over
Open
here
mic.
like,
Yeah,
this
dude,
is
we have
crazy.
never even seen anything. I mean, you haven't
boyfriend-
either, right? I haven't even seen
No.
anything close to that.
Her
Or
boyfriend calls the cops because we were just going to let them leave. Her boyfriend, who she had just met that night, calls the cops.
her boyfriend
When
she
the-
met that night.
Yeah, her date. The cops
yeah,
come
yeah, I
in
hear what you're saying.
and he starts in front of all these black comics, starts screaming the N-word and being like,
Full
"All
Kramer.
these N-words are going to jail tonight where they belong. Hope they shoot a few of them." And walked into the bar thinking he was safe. The cops took his girl, drove off, and left him there. He had to run out the back of the bar and crawl under a fence to escape everybody. Like
Holy shit.
that was that mic back in the day. And so
I
like,
can
nowadays-
genuinely say we do not have anything close to,
Yeah,
to something
when you said
like
Henry's,
that.
I was like, that's kiddies play. Like,
Yeah, dude, like that's as close as we have to like
shit.
like me and him actually met outside of like the fucking Henry's commotion one
real.
day, and he was like, "Oh shit, I saw your comedy spot." I'm like, "Oh shit, I saw you too," and we became boys. But it's like, yeah, dude, I don't know why. Yeah, that's the closest thing we have to that now. Is like Henry's is like a melting pot of all the comedians.
weirdness, yeah.
Yeah,
Weird.
of just like just
I love
Everybody in the scene.
I love
I call them the
that.
hybrids because they're like half audience members, half comics, like most of the time.
I mean, that's what most like open mics are.
Yeah.
you're really lucky if you get like a comedy spot or something.
Yeah,
Most of the
true,
time
true.
It's just
I'll be ready for those.
Is that why Comedy Spot is set up the way it is though? Like it's not like your average open mic where you just go up, sign up, and you go.
I think
You know.
it's because the room also used to be a little bit bigger. I think now they
What?
hold
It used to be
like
bigger than
80.
that?
It used to hold like 110, like just a few more because the
It's
scene
already
was
huge
set up
now.
a little differently. It was just slightly different.
Crazy.
I can't imagine.
but,
Wait, so how long has Comedy Spot been there then?
Like what?
A while. They even had a spot before the spot they're in now. So it's been a school for like, I would want to say like 12, 15 years.
Damn.
Oh shit! Okay.
Maybe even longer. But yeah,
Half my
so
life, yeah.
when I did improv, I did a lot of stuff through them. But I never worked with them directly because they don't let you on their improv teams unless you go through their classes. And I went through like college classes, so it's like I'm not paying twice.
Yeah, to go
Not
class
doing
again.
that.
I'm
Sorry.
already in debt. Sorry.
Yeah.
Already
I
paid
don't
for
need to join the
college.
team that bad.
Yeah,
like.
no, I don't need to be part of your improv team. It's okay. But I would do a lot of stuff with them, and that's how I eventually did my first open mic was at Comedy Spot too.
So
I
you
think
so you
that's-
basically friend zone Comedy Spot.
I wanted to be with them so badly, but their rules are so
Yeah.
stingent that it's like, oh, you didn't take our improv
Yeah.
101? I was like, no, but I did teach improv in Chicago for 6 months professionally. Is that okay? They're like, no, you got to take our improv 101 so you know what to do. And I'm like,
If you're qualified, you should be qualified.
yeah, like I think the college credits tell me that. I'm like,
Yeah.
It's all good though. I love comedy.
I do too.
That was the first place I ever did comedy.
I think
My
that's
first-
the
and I'll
best
never
place.
forget it.
Stab was the first place I ever did comedy, man.
That was second.
That was so scary because it's such a small, intimate
Yeah.
room. So for your first time,
If
it's
you
like
have an audience, it's something. But like, there will be nights where there used to be a
I need
lot
to start
of great
going
hosts.
back.
I don't know who hosts it now, but when Skip Bacon used to host it, she would
Adam
bring her
Strawberry.
friends. Okay, see, they're just letting anybody do it.
That's good.
well, I mean, we can cut that. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
No, it's okay. Adam knows that I have a hate for him. He's balding. It's okay. Much love to Adam. You're balding, Strawberry.
He's actually funny though. Adam's funny. No,
I
he's
have
actually
beef
not.
with Adam.
Like 10 or 15, and then
Yeah, no, bro.
Yeah.
We can
Just-
end
just
with
'cause I got
Adam.
a dipstick.
But yeah, let's
We can end
close
with Adam.
out.
just gotta go dip soon. But that doesn't mean we gotta stop talking and shit. I just
Should we just close this shit up?
Yeah,
Well, that's
let's
been
do-
a fucking episode. We're
we're
chilling.
yeah, we had a good episode. We're
Yeah.
gonna bullshit just us now. So.
We have been chilling.